Hey, I'm Dave Klein, and you are listening to Foreskin Gamers Uncut. However, as John would say, right now we are a tripod.
Gamers standing on their own.
Gamers standing on their own. Because unfortunately, Andrew Benioff, once again, cannot join us. Andrew, if you're listening, you are a jerk. But let's go around and introduce ourselves.
Always after his Lucky Charms.
Oh, my Lucky Charms.
You only get that if you know his nickname's supposed to be the Leprechaun, and now I've totally killed that fucking joke.
No, it's okay. We're gonna keep it. We're gonna keep it as that. For real.
Well, you know, his pot of gold hasn't been discovered, so it's still alive.
It's still alive.
Does he even have a pot of gold?
Oh, I don't know.
But anyway.
So, I am, once again, Dave Klein. Dave the douchebag, for those of you keeping score and taking notes. And to my left...
I am John, the fascist quick.
And I am Joe, the scorekeeper and note-taker baker.
Also known as Joe the nicknameless Joe Baker.
Oh yeah, that guy.
That's what I want to call you, Joe the nicknameless Joe Baker.
Because we can't think of a goddamn thing.
It's because he's an enigma. For those of you who don't know, Joe is an actor, so he takes on many faces, so we really don't know which face is his true face. Maybe that's it, Joe the Enigma Baker.
You have a nickname! Congratulations! Alright!
I like nicknameless. But we're going to our first topic, which is for those of you
Enigma, please.
who have been looking at various gaming news sites, you may have seen an interesting article about the Xbox 360, or might I say, the Xbox 720.
No, you may not.
Well, I'm going to anyways. No, it's not 720 bits per se, because as we all know, when a new system comes out, you always do times 2 of whatever is. N64 was N128, and now it's Xbox 360. People are calling it Xbox 720. But, John, would you like to...
such a succinct, summation of it. But yes, I would like to...
divulge into the topic.
I would love to. Alright, well, it's not actually been officially announced that this is the Xbox 720, as they're calling it. Microsoft has released really nothing on this. The only thing that they have released is that the possible processing chip, which I believe is a new Radeon chip, that may be the processor for the next generation Xbox.
I think apparently they made a big order of them. It was something to that extent, where they ordered a huge amount of them.
But there was also something involving IBM.
Yeah.
Another chip that they were making. So it was actually initially broke on IGN, and then it spread, of course, to the rest of the sites. Nothing has been officially announced, and I really doubt that we're going to hear any official announcement from Microsoft until E3.
But the speculation that they had was that in August is when the developers were going to get dev kits. Which I guess actually, I feel like they usually give them a year to start developing stuff, so it looks like, hey, look what's coming out on our system that's coming out in a couple of years that's going to blow you away. Mm-hmm. But something I forgot to mention, though, back to the 360 720 thing, to clarify, apparently this new processor is about 6 times as powerful as the Xbox 360 processor, so that's a lot more.
If I could do math, I would tell you how much that is, but I can't.
It's more than 1,800 of whatever 360 is. I don't know. But it got me thinking, though, which I kind of like to talk with you guys about. And part of that is, I feel like graphics right now are really good. And yeah, you could always push it a little bit further, but how much further do you need to push it? And the other thing is that games already have a giant life cycle, or not life cycle, but development cycle for how long it takes for the AAA title to come out. And a lot of that's been the pushing of the graphics, because it takes them that much longer to develop these environments with that much detail in the graphics. So it sounds like that kind of would suck for a developer, that look how much longer your dev cycle is going to be, and look how much more expensive it's going to be to make a big game that's going to compete in the market. And I mean, what do you guys think about that?
Well, I think that's actually a really valid point, if for no other reason than currently sitting in Dave's lap is an iPad, which, at least according to Kotaku, the iPad and the iPhone are currently sitting at the #1 gaming device in the world. More people play games on one of those two devices than any other thing. They in fact named the current president of Apple as the #1 most influential person in all of gaming. And now many of you have played iPad or iPhone games, and a lot can be said about them. But the other thing that cannot be said about them is that they're not Call of Duty, they're not Battlefield 3, they're certainly not these massive AAA titles. But if this is the new platform that the majority of people are going to be playing on, I mean, that's very quickly, I think developers are going to find out that that's where the profit is. So then these old school developers that are making these massive AAA blockbuster titles, how are they going to, is it going to be like, is there going to be the cost benefit that there used to be anymore?
Or the titles like Braid, which were more like indie titles, where that's where they were released at for $10. But I think
well, the landscape is definitely changing, and I think you bring up a valid point, John, that these devices, they can really, and they have completely altered where gaming is going. I think it will do even more in the future, but I think the projected 720, graphics is going to be that much powerful, but that could also even expedite the process of developing, because then you'll have a faster system that, I don't know.
But maybe the faster system just means better load times, which are always nice.
Exactly. So,
but that has nothing to do with development cycle per se. But hold on, I want to jump back on what you were saying though, real quick, about everything moving mobile, and I think it's true that there's probably more games on mobile devices, being played, because everybody has a phone. Everybody's playing games on their phone. But then the question comes, how much are those companies actually profiting from those games as opposed to console games? Because at the end of the day, the profit's what's actually important to those companies. And these are games that you're downloading for free or for $1 to $2. And so say 100,000 people download your $1 game. That's maybe $500,000 of profit to the company, because the rest of it goes to Apple. They don't even see all of that profit. Whereas a $60
you also
game,
gotta remember, a lot of those games have in-app purchases, and that's where the big money for them is coming.
But then it's also the question of how many people who got the free, because usually that's what the free game model.
Exactly.
How many of those people are actually getting the free game and then saying, I'm going to spend money of those downloads for in-app purchase?
Well, apparently enough for the creator of Angry Birds to have his own personal ball washer.
But you're also talking about the
what kind of balls?
But this is the most successful mobile game. That'd be like saying that every single console game is as successful as Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, which is the most, even more than Angry Birds, the highest profiting game ever.
And you got to remember that the Angry Birds analogy is closer to, say, Mario, because Angry Birds was really the first one of the entire thing. So you can't really compare it to where console gaming has gotten to at this point, because it's just a.
But I think the point about it is that a medium really thrives off of innovation and change, because people get tired of the same old entertainment. Well, we're already, for good or ill, and I really do think for ill, the gaming industry is taking its cues from the film industry, which they should be taking their cues probably from the TV or
just creating their own model.
or literary novels. To be perfectly honest, when I say that, when I mean that, what the kind of experience that they want to bring, they always want to bring a cinematic experience, when really they should probably bring a serialized or episodic experience. Kind of a little bit of what Valve was doing with Half-Life.
But
Half-Life
some
2.
companies have tried that though. That's the only model that I'm forgetting the name of the company, but they released the Back to the Future games. They released Telltale. Thank you, Telltale. All their adventure games are episodic now, and I think they're doing fine. They're doing okay. I can say, for me personally as a consumer, I hate that model, because especially for adventure games, where it's I like adventure games to be intertwining as a big narrative, where I feel like maybe what I do at the beginning is going to correlate with what you do at the end. And for that model, you can't do that. That's just impossible.
Well, yeah, but
also
you could
that model is so new. We didn't have it 20 years ago. The fact that we have that sophistication in games nowadays
Well, it's not necessarily sophistication. It's just releasing a shorter game. A bunch of shorter games that are all part of the same series, in a sense. It's like chapters of a book. Like here, you can download chapter 1, you can download chapter 2, or if you want, you can just download chapter 5 and not have downloaded any of the previous ones. And that's why it's hard for them to make it intertwining. The narrative intertwines, but it's hard for them to make, hey, you do something in part A, and it's going to intertwine with part E, because what if someone didn't download part A or part C? They only download part B and D. Alright, well, I think that then does it for tonight's episode of Foreskin. Thank you all for joining us. If you guys have comments that you would like to say, please write them. Please write them on the YouTube wall, and we would love to see what your guys' thoughts are on the topics. And once again, as always, to listen to the full entire podcast, if you're joining us on YouTube, click on the link at the bottom of the description, and that will take you to the full awesomeness of the tripod standing tall.
Game over.
See you guys next week.